I got asked this morning. Are the Jags done, by the way? Before we get a little bit into the Players' Championship, are the Jags done making a splash? Is there any splash still to be made?
I mean, Brent, there's a wide receiver named T. Higgins just chomping at the bit for a new team right now. Come on, man.
Mike Williams has some visits, it looks like.
Yeah.
The Jets and some other teams, and the Steelers, I think, are in there. But, I mean, I guess the T. Higgins, that's what I said. I don't think from a free agency standpoint there's a splash. Is there a Brandon Ayuk or T. Higgins splash still to be made? Potentially, but didn't we kind of talk ourselves out? Maybe not a T. Higgins, but I don't know why you wouldn't. Higgins. Let me ask you this before I say it. Higgins, Ayuk, are they alike in terms of your want for them? Like, you seem to like, hey, let's go make Higgins happen.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would like that. They can make the connection between the Clemson days and Trevor and T. Higgins. But, I mean, Ayuk is a better, more proven receiver.
No, for sure. I think T. Higgins is going to cost you a lot more, though, honestly. I prefer T. Higgins just from the ability with the 50-50 balls to go up and get it. He's a different kind of size, offers you something different. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is more like 6'1", 6'2", kind of what you have already on this roster. So I'm taking T. Higgins over Brandon Ayuk.
So do you think they should, this is what we talked about a bit more on Friday, make a move for a receiver that is proven like that? Or what I suggest now is take that cap. If you really want to be that aggressive, why don't you just take the capital, get cheaper because you won't have to spend as much, and trade up for one of those top 3 guys or top 4 guys if you really like it. Even if it's going from 17 to 12, you can be aggressive to go get a young receiver who we feel like, I'm not sure can't miss is a fair way to describe anything in the draft, but we certainly feel like those guys are very good.
Yeah, I mean, Hamby and I broke this down, I think it was on Friday, in terms of there's going to probably be a premium on wide receivers taken very early. Now the Chargers, too, are going to be in the wide receiver game, losing Keenan Allen. So if that's the case, I feel more comfortable taking a T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk because at least you know what you're getting there. You're not sure how the draft is going to shake out, and yes, you probably have to trade up to get one of your guys. If you know for a fact that you can grab one of your guys in the first round of the draft, then sure, by all means, you're going to save some money as opposed to signing a T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk. But I think it's risky just in terms of how much demand there will be for that wide receiver.
Yeah, what is left, right, is the big thing. I think as you come out of last week and you settle it down and you think about it this weekend, what is left for the Jags to do? Obviously, receiver could be in play. I don't think they're going to make – first of all, again, there's not a lot of guys left out there that will get your attention. The next level of guys, maybe a moderate player like a special teams player. The Jags don't seem to, at least at this point, have a lot of money to play with right now.
You would think so, but who knows, man?
I don't think –
extra 20 mil just underneath the mattress, pay somebody, let's go.
There was some Cam Robinson stuff over the weekend, and I didn't pay too close attention, but there was a little bit of a scuttlebutt about his Instagram and pushing out memories. And did you see that?
I did not see that.
Yeah, so there were some people chatting. Again, I didn't go check it out. We were in the middle of cover the players, but I do still wonder about Cam. Do you think he's locked into this football team, or could they potentially still make a move there with Cam via trade or just a release to save money on the cap?
I mean, I hope if we're talking about at least getting rid of Cam Robinson, it's via trade and not just letting him go, because I think there is some trade value for Cam Robinson. Now, you get a 4th, a 3rd. I mean, it remains to be seen, but just to cut a guy like that with all his experience when he's playing, there's no way. So, yeah, it's still a question, how does Walker Little fit into this? You know how I feel about it. If Cam Robinson's healthy, if Cam Robinson's not sitting games for, PEDs and things like that, I think he is I would say a good to very good player. And I like having Walker Little as depth. If you trade Cam Robinson, if you get rid of Cam Robinson, well, then obviously Walker Little gets elevated. Anton Harrison, where does he fit into it? Does he stay on the right? Do you move him to the left? So there's a lot of pieces that can fall into place. But most importantly, if you keep Cam Robinson and Walker Little, you have a little bit of depth there.
Yeah, I think I don't feel like they're going to make a move, but I do think a trade dangle is certainly possible. And you can do that, by the way, as you get closer to the draft, right? Because if you want to move up, maybe he becomes part of a package. I think the Jags do have some flexibility there, whether it is Walker Little, whether it is Cam Robinson, whether they need the flexibility to go get a player, sign a player, extend a player, trade for T. Higgins, then extend, whatever it might be. And keep in mind, there is still one other big piece going on here that they will, in my opinion at least, eventually sign Josh Allen to a long-term extension, which could free up a lot of dollars here in 2024, because right now they're on the book and on the hooks for $24 million on that franchise tag. So that could create some space as well. So I think the Jags still do have some flexibility with the way they want to do things, both monetarily, but also move-wise, and especially on that offensive line. I think it appears they want to keep everyone, but I'm not sure I'm locked into that. And I actually think we might be asking this kind of question, Austen, all the way till like the start of the season, because there are several times that you really can move a player. It's in free agency or right before. It's right before the draft we usually see a player, if he's going to be moved. And I feel like we've seen more of that in recent years than we used to see. And then there's a late August, team gets desperate, needs a left tackle, right? You have a piece they could have. I think some people are hoping this for Mac Jones, right? Like you got Mac Jones for a 6th-round pick. He goes and plays well, and around Labor Day, somebody needs a quarterback and says, hey, I'll give you a 4th, right? I mean, there have been people that have talked about that too. So I think there are still multiple times, and then, of course, there's a trade deadline, but multiple times I believe still that like I'm not sure Cam Robinson is locked in until they tee it up, in September.
Well, and especially, too, I mean, when you get closer to draft, I feel like more trades will have the opportunity to take part, right? I mean, we talk about the run of wide receivers that we expect to go in the first round. Well, if all of a sudden teams are taking wide receivers, maybe T. Higgins becomes a little more appealing. Maybe a team wants to trade for T. Higgins. Then when they see, hey, one of our guys, whether it's one of the LSU wide receivers, whoever the case may be, is gone, let's try to trade now for T. Higgins because we need that wide receiver. So just because, and once again, you see some rumors, some speculation on Twitter, and I don't know how much you can really buy into it. You have handles just going off, going rogue, if it's agents, if it's players with burner accounts. You don't know who's saying what. But there was some smoke for T. Higgins a little bit, but I think you're going to see a lot more smoke when we get closer to the draft.